Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a Hazy Session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and I am covered in malt dust. Quite a lot of hop extract, but nothing's gone wrong yet, Bradley, you'll be pleased to know.
Fan-bloody-tastic.
But I have only mashed in, to be fair. There's going to be something. Something's going to happen.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be home brewing if it didn't, right?
No. I mean, even so, I did a really smooth brew day a couple of weeks ago. The only one where I've been like, nothing went wrong. All the equipment worked. I worked. I hit my numbers. And then the beer was crap. So I think you need a bit of crisis on the brew day. Just,
yes.
Don't know, keeps you on your toes.
Bit of a frisson.
Makes you double check everything. I don't quite know, but yeah, we're brewing. I'm brewing the second batch of our next homebrew episode. Wasn't quite happy with the first one, but number 2, I think it's gonna be perfect. No flaws.
No flaws.
No flaws whatsoever. And we will tell you absolutely if there are. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm homebrewing at the moment, so please excuse the grain father might beep at me, the sparge tank might hiss at me, all kind of things could go off in the background, and I might just disappear for a couple of seconds, but we'll see how it goes. But hopefully nothing's going to happen for the next 5 minutes, because we have very exciting news.
We've got super exciting news, Johnny. Is it about a wrestler launching a beer in America? No. What's it about? It's about us launching a beer festival. Right? Again. For a second time, Johnny.
Launching again. I think that can happen. So, Love and Beer 2 is coming back.
Great.
We've been teasing it for a little while, and we have, in fact, launched tickets for our Patreons already, and it's been selling nicely. But we are now opening up to everybody. Podcast listeners, YouTube listeners, I don't know, your grandma, whoever wants to come. Hulk Hogan, he can bring his beer if he wants. We are opening up to the public, so tickets are now on sale for Love and Beer 2. It is going to be exactly like last year, although maybe with an extra collab. But the twist on it is that we've teamed up with podcast sponsors and all-round wonderful humans, the Malt Miller, to basically have half of it be a homebrew festival.
So what you're saying is we're launching it a second time, and you're getting twice as much for the same great experience, Johnny. Getting twice as many things happening. Home brewing tents, all sorts of people with their wonderful concoctions, collabs upon collab beers. We've got some heavy hitters coming from all over the UK, haven't we, to peddle their wonderful beers that we're going to be beering. Beer, Johnny. We're talking all kinds of beer.
I've never heard such a vague pitch. There'll be people and beer with peddling of beer. Let me break this down. So last year we had nearly 400 people come. We had bottle shares of rare beers that Brad and I brought in. We had 10 collaborations that we brewed with 10 amazing breweries to celebrate our 10th birthday. We had Budvar pouring delicious perfect pours of Hadlinkers, Mlikos, Schnitz, all kinds of things. And then we had the Malt Miller helping you out with like hop rubbings, malt tastings, and also talking you through some of the equipment that they sell. So we've taken that element, that homebrew element, and expanded it out. So now we're going to have a whole homebrew tent outside in the courtyard of Hackney Brewery where you can, as a punter, go and meet some of the best homebrewers in the country and try lots of the beers that they're going to be brewing specially for the festival. Like small little pours, obviously, because we want to be drinking all the lovely collaborations. And then at the end of it, you're going to vote on either your favourite beer or your favourite homebrew stand, and they'll be divided by the clubs, various clubs around the UK. Who will win some big, sensational, incredible prize that will be modelled by Brad in short shorts. So on top of that, we're also going to have lots of suppliers. So we'll have the malt miller there to meet you folks and to talk about everything that they do. But also we're going to have malt suppliers, we're going to have hop suppliers, we're going to have yeast suppliers, all kinds of folks that you can go and learn about ingredients, whether it's from a homebrew angle or whether it's from just a drinking angle. Because the more we know about beer, the more we can shut the fuck up and enjoy it, is our secret motto. So yes, those tickets are now on sale. They are, oh God, what are they, 25 quid? And for that, you get a glass, you get a pour of delicious Budvar, you get a goodie bag to take away, and then you get all of the small pours from the homebrew folks. And then you pay for the other beers, the collaborations. We're going to have 11 collaborations, we think. Only about half of those will be Craft Beer Channel ones. We've sort of taken it to the next phase of Love and Beer by saying that we want breweries and ingredient suppliers to collab with each other for this festival. So that's kind of the love element of the Love and Beer. So we've got 12... possibly 14 very, very exciting breweries all collaborating together. You know, some of them are like hypey breweries that we've worked with before or championed, but lots of them are like small breweries that we've included recently. I can't quite name names yet because not everybody is 100% signed up, but, you know, if you watched our Big in 2024 or our episode where we talked about the most underrated breweries in the UK, these are the kinds of folks that we've approached to try and get to the festival. So it's going to be an amazing list of beers that you might not have tried and beers that we have tried and loved on the channel. So yeah, tickets are on sale now. We have 2 sessions, an afternoon session and an evening session, and you can buy tickets for both at a slightly discounted rate if you want to come for the whole day. And you'll meet us and have bottle shares and great fun and great music and great food as well. Tickets in the pod description, tickets on our YouTube channel, tickets all over our social. Wherever you look, there will be links to buy tickets. And it's on the 14th of September 2024. 14th of September, that's a Saturday at Hackney Brewery. I think I pitched it.
Good pitch there, Johnny. It's better than my beers and beers.
I mean, you did the headline and I did the article. Yeah. The headline is beer. Good beer.
Good beer. Great beer. Give me great beer, great people, great times.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's happening. Please buy your tickets ASAP. Let's move on to some beer news. There's been a lot going on. Before we dig into... Actually, no, we'll do this at the end of the beer news. Should we start with Hulk?
Oh, you want to start with the Hulkamania, yeah?
Yeah.
We can do that. Yeah. Go on.
Well, I was... No, you go first, because I've got opinions on this, and you tell them what's going on.
So this is from Inside the Ropes, which I think is a wrestling website, Johnny. I'm not here very often looking on Inside the Ropes.
You're not?
But it's very... No, it looks like quite a stylishly made website. But the thing that brought me here was Hulk Hogan launches real American beer. And basically, it's... Where's the bloody... I highlighted loads of stuff.
Have you lost your highlights?
And it's gone. No, I've got it. Okay. I got it. Real America... This is a quote from Hulk Hogan.
From Terry.
From Terry. Yeah, real American beer is bringing America together, one beer at a time. We formed an all-star team to make it happen, and I'm excited to introduce real American beer to fans and beer lovers everywhere. It is a premium American-made, easy-drinking light lager, Johnny. 4.2%.
Who'd have thought that they'd have gone for a light lager?
Yeah, and I like this, right? It's this tells you a lot, I think, about the psyche of Hulk Hogan and where he sort of sees himself and how he views America. This is where he's selling it, right? In addition to retail, real American beer will be made available in bars and restaurants in the launch markets, including Hard Rock hotels, casinos, select Hooters of America, locations nationwide, and on US military bases. So quite a select and niche sort of places he's selling in.
I
Hooters
wouldn't say
family
they're niche.
restaurants.
I'd say they're about as broad as you can possibly be, aren't they?
Hooters
Hard Rock.
family restaurants, Hard Rock Cafe. Well, not Hard Rock Cafe, Hard Rock hotels.
Oh, is
and
they're the
military
same
bases.
Are they the same
I
thing?
think it's the same thing, isn't it? Yeah. It used to be owned by celebrities, didn't it? Hard Rock Cafe or whatever it was called. Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think, famously owned Hard Rock Cafe.
Wow.
I think so, yeah. I remember being a kid and seeing like those guys in no, I'm totally going mad. I'm thinking of Planet Hollywood. I've got it wrong, Johnny. They own Planet Hollywood.
I'm still surprised they did. I assume that was some cash in by Universal Studios or something.
They used to rock around in leather Planet Hollywood jackets, those two.
You sure they weren't just paid to wear the jacket?
Nah, no, they were definitely... Well, they probably got paid to do everything. But yeah, there was something to do with it anyway. So that's nothing. I imagine if that was... Is it still around, Hard Rock Cafe? No, sorry, Planet Hollywood. You'd probably sell it in Planet Hollywood as well if you could.
Yeah, I think I went to one at Disneyland Paris maybe a decade ago.
I don't think I've ever been to one, Johnny, sadly. I always wanted to go as a kid. They used to have one, I'm pretty sure, in Trocadero, in Piccadilly Circus. I'm pretty sure it was near Rainforest Cafe, which I also wanted to go in.
Oh, my spa sheet has just kicked on. Apologies,
folks.
Hello. Don't worry, that's not static.
It's all that talk of Hooters and US military bases.
Right, let's not go down that road. So this right. Let's deconstruct this. Real American beer. So I enjoy this notion that what's come before isn't real, even though it's identical to all other macro beers. I also love the kind of essentially he's casting himself as Budman, right? On the can.
Yeah, he's going to bring
waving an American
the
flag,
nation.
Looking like a superhero. He
He's
definitely
gonna bring the
doesn't look that
nation
stacked
together.
anymore.
He's not that ripped, no. I like his manic eyes on it. He looks insane. But there's another quote from Hulk. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat. It doesn't matter what sex you are. It doesn't matter what race you are, where you're from, what you believe in. I've got a beer that's going to bring America back together. One beer at a time.
That's the thing that came out. That's what I wanted to talk about because it's really interesting. Because Hulk Hogan, as far as I'm aware, is pretty Republican, right? I wouldn't say hard right, but he's very much Republican.
Big time.
So it's a really interesting twist that he's gone for like hardcore America branding. Hardcore, not necessarily toxic masculinity, but hardcore masculinity. We know, I mean, I saw, I don't know, it was on like an Instagram reel or something, him reading a poem about his wife and crying he used to have a TV show, didn't he?
He did.
And that happened, I think, on the TV show. Like, this is a man, this man, he wears his heart on his sleeve if he's wearing sleeves. And I think this is a really interesting proposal because it's everything that would appeal, say, to the kid rock lovers out there that thought that him shooting up a Budweiser can because it had a trans influencer promoting it was a good thing. But then the messaging is, I'm going to bring America back together. I'm sure that there are going to be lots of very, very, very angry beer-bellied men out there that pronounce America without the A. The first A, not the second A. I don't know what. American.
America.
But I think it's quite a cool thing that he's done. It's quite bold.
It looks great. The artwork of the can looks great. He's definitely a problematic guy. I don't know if you're aware of Gawker, the whole Gawker website and everything that he took down. There was quite an interesting documentary about it because there's like a Hulk Hogan sex tape, basically, where
who wants to see that?
With his like friend's wife or something. I don't know. Like there's an interesting documentary. Go and watch it. I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to get sued. But
hey, we're doing his work here. We're promoting him.
Yeah.
He wouldn't sue us, would he?
I liked his speedboat. I remember he had a speedboat that like had Hulk Hogan or something, or the Hulk or something written on the side of it. That was
Brad
cool.
always here with the analysis. I like this
And
speedboat.
I liked his yellow and red outfits, right? But he's gone very much red, white, and blue on the can artwork. He's leaned into America.
Yeah, but it's an interesting subversion of what you'd because we had. Oh God, what was that beer that came out? There was like a pro-America beer that was like anti-woke, and everyone was trying to work out which brewery was contract brewing it, so we could all laugh at them and boycott them and stuff. And this has that kind of look and feel, but then the messaging is bringing America back together.
I think that has to be the new sort of all sides political thing in America's probably like we're going to bring America back together, right? Because it's so divided.
Yeah, but you wouldn't expect it from Hulk Hogan, would you? You'd expect it from, I don't know, like a slightly more wholesome NFL star or something.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess he's not as wholesome as he used to be, but he did have like kids TV show and all sorts of stuff, didn't he, back in the day? But I really like the artwork. I think it looks really cool. Whoever's painted him, he must paint like Conan the Barbarian style 1980s VHS cover, like VHS tape covers, it reminds me of a sort of awesome epic America kind of action movie from the 80s, and he just looks wild. He's got a wild look in his eyes, just piercing through the can, Johnny. It looks cool. I want some. Well, I would like a can of it.
We wish Hulk the best with this particular project. Maybe not some of his other projects, but this particular one, we're on board the speedboat. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I got some news for you, Bradley.
Go on.
I've basically found a football match that you want to go to.
Nah, never.
Right, this is big news. I think it was front page of the Sun, maybe, with a terrible line: "Beer we know."
Okay.
So basically, out of concerns for, I guess, English football fans, but also concern about Serbian ultras, as they're known. So essentially, football
What's that? Is that
hooligans from Serbia. Yeah.
Are they like ultra? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know whether you're aware, Brad. We're going to play Serbia in the Euros,
right, okay.
Which start next week. And at the stadium where we'll be playing Serbia, it's been rumoured, not yet confirmed, but rumoured, that they will only be serving Shandy in the stadiums.
Yes. Shandy boys unite worldwide. There are many of us, Johnny. There are tens of us.
There are dozens of you. So you can get, instead of, I think it's Bitburger it's supposed to be, you can get
Brilliant.
Bitburger Shandy.
So
and you're
good.
only allowed to buy 2 pints per person at a time.
Wow.
I mean, at 2.5%, it is literally, I think, impossible to get drunk.
Good luck, gentlemen, trying to get hammered and angry drinking Shandy. It's impossible. You can't get angry and drunk drinking Shandy.
I mean, all it's going to do is make everybody get tanked up before they arrive, which is almost worse.
But if they drink the Shandy, it's going to dilute the booze that they've drunk, right?
No, that's not how it works. All it's going to do is just make them need wheeze more.
Yeah, but that's okay. When they're weeing,
and it won't make it worse, I guess.
That's great. I love that. Any opportunity to get our message out there, Johnny.
Wait, what's our message?
My message is Shandy's for the win. I don't care about
You're
the football.
supporting Shandy at the Euros this year.
I'm supporting Shandy's at the Euros, yeah, 100%. Shandy's are bringing it home. Coming home.
Good.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
We'll get some flights. We'll go
please.
We'll go shake the hands of some Serbian ultras and have some Shandies with them. I reckon if any beer is going to bring people together, it might be Shandy. This summer, I'm going to be hosting talks at the Manchester, Bristol and London craft beer festivals, giving festival goers the chance to attend tutored tastings, rare beer pours, meet the brewers and even guided tours of the bars. These 3 festivals are the highlights of my events calendar, featuring some of the world's best breweries with delicious restaurant pop-ups, great music and a really welcoming party atmosphere. It's the 3rd year I've been hosting the We Are Beer Tastings table, but for the first time I'm delighted to offer all of our listeners, viewers and Patreons £5 off a ticket when you use the code CBC5. Just hit the link in the description to buy. See you there.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, I'd be upset if there was a hooligan activity going on in the stadium when everyone's just drinking shandies. That would be shambolic.
Podcast title? Maybe.
Maybe. It's
either that or I like the speedboat.
Yeah, I like the speedboat.
Those are the working titles so far. You got any news for me?
I got some good news coming out of beertoday.co.uk. Sierra Nevada have unveiled a partnership with Cave Direct, our friends at Cave Direct. They're going to be bringing in all kinds of great fresh stuff from the boys over in Sierra Nevada. We're talking California IPA, crisp little things, and Torpedo, most importantly, Johnny. So you're going to be able to get a nice fresh Torpedo, which... You know what this is good news for, Johnny? This is good news for bottle openers because I'm hoping some of these things are still in bottles.
Torpedo was it's in both, I believe, just like the Pale Ale.
Hopefully, like they did with Allagash, they'll bring some over in bottles and cans.
Fingers crossed. Good news for bottle openers, yeah.
Good news for bottle openers. We're going to get some America,
some real American
wave.
Beer.
Yeah, original wave of craft beers from the OGs. So that's really exciting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so we've had good fresh Sierra in basically by them. They had like their own web shop in the UK where you could buy it, but it was a bit niche and a bit not hard to do. It's just a web shop, but you couldn't just go to the pub and get some. So it's very exciting. And Cave Direct, my former employer, do a great job of getting really great beer out to more mainstream outlets. So hopefully we're going to be seeing Sierra Nevada cropping up a lot more and being bang fresh and delicious, and that is great news. Great news for the UK.
Love it.
So Godspeed to them. I've got some more niche beer news. You'll be unsurprised to know there was a fallout on Twitter this week.
What? On Twitter?
On Twitter.
X, formerly known as Twitter?
I'm not even saying X.
This is unheard of, Johnny. You're telling me there's beef on Twitter? Wow.
There's beef on Twitter. So in the week that we tackled the last beef of Is Hazy IPA killing craft, a new one cropped up. So I'll probably have to do a video about that. In fact, I think I even predicted this beef. To some extent. Because in the video this week I said, if you don't consider Cask craft, then I'll have to make a video about you too. And now I'm going to have to make a video about Cask. So this debate started with Jeff Allworth, who we met in the Czech Republic many moons ago. And he's Beervana. He writes a really great blog up in the Pacific Northwest, one of my favourite beer bloggers. And he did a blog, he's a big lover of British ale, about basically saying, Camera, you fucked up at the start by essentially championing the kind of the tradition and the romance of cask ale rather than the practicalities that needed to be kind of protected. So basically he's saying that by not allowing cask breathers or not recognizing cask breathers as still cask ale, cask breathers are these little gadgets that basically you put in the top of a cask pin, and it allows you to bring in carbon dioxide when you pull beer out rather than oxygen. So it extends the shelf life of the beer. Maybe it sort of doubles it to instead of 3 days max, it's 6, maybe a week at an absolute push. And for decades, Camera said that's not cask ale, it's got to be oxygen coming in. And Jeff, I think quite rightly, was saying that's a stupid thing. The important thing, the thing that's different about Cask, is the secondary fermentation in Cask that allows for that really soft carbonation, that really fresh aroma and feel, like the warm bread kind of element, because it's it's still alive when you drink it, and has been fermenting right up until almost the point that you drink it. And I do think he's right in that cask breathers should have been allowed from the moment they were invented. But I personally don't think he's right that that's the main reason that Cask is struggling. But the thing that caused the anger amongst British beer geeks and writers was his assertion that basically the quality of Cask, or rather the lack thereof, is the reason why it's struggling. So you can see how British people would have an issue with that, and that you've got an American who doesn't live here saying cask ale is dishwater mostly. And people were like, no. And most of it was people going like, well, I live in Manchester and the cask ale's great here. And, obviously that's true. Manchester for me is probably the best brewing city in the country at the moment, cask or keg. But doesn't mean it's great 50 miles outside of Manchester. And we know the latest statistics I saw was that cask ale is only about 10% of the market now. When we started the craft beer channel, it was 30.
Shit. Yeah.
So it's definitely in some pretty significant decline, whatever people say on the internet about it still being great. So people have taken real exception to this notion that cask ale isn't high quality. And obviously lots of it is, but most of it is probably quite stale, partly because of the oxidation, partly because of the lack of turnover, partly because a lot of brewers are chasing, they're worried about the bottom line, and they're selling beer very, very cheaply and making it very, very cheaply. And lots of people took issue with that. So I don't know whether there might be a video in, because obviously we've got now confirmed our Keep Cask Alive 2 series, which we've started work on. We're starting to line up shoots and getting that filming, and hopefully that'll be out sort of September, October time. But is there a video in why is Cask struggling? Would that set us up for it? I don't know.
Oof. So that's an interesting question, Johnny. And I'm not sure. I'd need to ruminate that. I'd probably need maybe 3 to 6 days inside a cask with some carbon dioxide through the breather.
Wait, I think you probably need oxygen being pulled in there, buddy.
Well, I want to keep my my ideas fresh though, so I want to extend that life, but it'll probably kill me, right?
Yeah. Oh, it will. It will kill you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on the fence, Johnny. I'm on the fence in terms of the video, in terms of breathers. No, I'm not on the fence in terms of breathers. I think that's a great idea. How do you think people would declare, like, if you said, is this cask on a breather? Would publicans be like, I'm not going to tell you, or like, I
think
don't know
in
what
the
that
past
means?
they might have been coy and not told you, because lots of people would have been like, oh well, then it's not really cask ale. But since it's been, I think Canberra's official line on it on cask breathers is that they are neutral on it. So they're not saying they're great, but they're not saying it's not traditional cask if you use one.
They're Switzerland on it. Okay,
they're Swissing. Yeah, they are Swissing hard.
Swissing hard. Cool.
So yeah, I think I don't know what publicans think, but I mean, honestly, lots of the sellers that I've been into at the best cask ale places are using breathers. The Pembury definitely does.
Yeah, and those guys are shifting a bit of cask too.
And they're shifting.
It just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. Wait, are they? God, thinking about this, because I remember having a conversation with Greg Hobbs, head brewer, about how he likes how cask ale changes over the sort of the 3 days that it's good. So maybe they're not. Yeah. Maybe I'm making that up. I thought the Pembury was. I need to go back and watch our big cask live show with them again, because they did explain it. In my head, they did. But I mean, lots of great cask ale places are doing it. And I think that if turnover is not great of your cask, it's one way of ensuring you're serving a great pint. But anyway, if you want to read that article, I think it's a really good article. I just think it overplays its hand. That's Beervana with Jeff Allworth. It's a great piece. And the debate was pretty restrained and respectful, which is not always the case. Which might just be because that's who drinks cask. Actually, no, that's not true. I think we're learning. We're learning as an industry to have public conversations in a vaguely professional way. And I'm going to think about whether there's a video in that similar to this week's video.
Nice link.
Boom. Oh, the Spa Cheater enjoyed that one. It's kicking off again. So, I'll give the overview of the video in case people haven't seen it, and I'd love to hear your views, Bradley. So, this week was a video that started as actually, it was a news thing in our podcast where I talked about an article written by Stephen Beaumont, I think a Canadian beer writer, about how Hazy IPA was killing craft. So it was stymieing innovation, it was knocking other delicious styles off of the shelves, and it was stuttering growth by basically only bringing in people that just want to drink Hazy IPA. And I took real exception with that because essentially his evidence was just brewers that hate New England IPA bitching about having to brew it. There was no figures quoted, there was no genuine analysis of beer culture and sales. It was just, I think it's this, and these brewers agree.
It's he did a clever thing though, didn't he? Because he picked the most sort of hypey style and then slammed it. So he knew he was going to get people looking and reading because of the concept.
Well,
right?
I mean, it might have come from a clicks angle, but I think it was more that he hates New England IPA and doesn't like to drink it. Because, let's be honest, most beer writers, like people that do it full time, hate New England IPA. You know, when I stand up and say I love this style, whether it's online, whether it's at events, and I'm constantly defending the style to other beer writers and beer broadcasters. Most people think it is still an abomination, and they won't touch it.
Oh dear.
And this is, we are one of the few sort of larger platforms that champion it and really dig into it. I mean, there's lots of enthusiasts who do a great job of spreading news of which ones are best and what's coming out and reviewing them. But in terms of taking it seriously, it's basically us.
Wowza. So we are diametrically opposed to this journalist in everything.
Well, I mean, Stephen and I have lots in common, lots we agree about, but not Hazy IPA.
You don't. No, you don't. We're gonna have a cage. We're gonna have a cage match. Hulk's gonna be there with the beers. We're gonna hold it on a military base. No, not a military base. That's too aggressive. We're gonna hold it in a Hooters restaurant.
Yep.
Cage match.
Oh no, come on. Let's go to Hard Rock Cafe.
Guy.
Let's
Hard
not
Rock
endorse.
Cafe. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep it family friendly.
Yeah, exactly. Because the families will want to be there. The kids will want to see me wrestling another pasty beer writer.
It'll be possibly the worst cage match in history.
Yeah, but it will be. It'll be the next in a long line of YouTubers turning to violence to keep getting clicks.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone likes to do boxing and stuff these days.
Yeah.
And also, Johnny, when I'll be your corner man, and you'll be like saying water, and I'll just be handing you hazies and going, drink that. It's juicy. It's really juicy. It's going to rehydrate you. It's juicy.
No, do you know what? I think we should be force feeding Stephen Beaumont the hazies.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I'll be forced to drink something I don't particularly enjoy, like pastry sours.
I think you might, you might fall over if you do that, or get really bad heartburn. Either way, it's not looking good for you as a pugilist. Yeah, great.
Anyway, so what did you think of the video? Because it was a solo attempt, and about the question of whether Hazy IPA could be having let's make it less
effect.
Make it less dramatic. A negative effect on beer culture.
Yeah. I don't think it can. Right. I think if anything, it's probably propping it up, and it's introducing the idea of craft beers to a lot of people that were not interested before, because maybe the cost of entry, the bitterness levels, the strangeness if you've been drinking wine, or maybe you've been drinking pints of vodka or whatever you might be drinking, Johnny. It's quite a change up to go on to craft beer. So I think it's a great gateway beer is a hazy boy.
And what about
So
the argument that people walk through that gateway and then only drink
Yeah.
hazy? You know, is that your experience or a worry?
I think possibly they're too cloying to drink all the time, right? So you probably drink a few of them and then be like, oh my God, I need something more refreshing.
I don't know. I think people do just drink it all night.
Wow,
I mean, I've had
crazy.
some nights where I've drunk it all night, like not like 6 and 8% ones, but sort of hazy pales.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with that, eh? You know, it's like just why wouldn't you? It's very juicy. It is very juicy. Let's be
That's
honest.
what the argument all boils
I've
down
got-
to. It's like, what's wrong with it? It's juicy.
It's juicy. It's juicy. No, they are. They are. They smell amazing. They taste amazing. They're theatrical. They look hazy. So you're like, ooh, this beer's hazy. Maybe it's got some sort of microbiome going on in there, or it's like a smoothie or something. You could probably convince yourself that it's healthier because it's hazier, unfiltered.
Well, that used to be a thing, didn't it? Well, I mean, I guess it
Yeah.
still is, but you know, the whole, and this was what happened when Hazy IPA first got big. It was people being like, "Oh, it's not brewed properly; it's hazy," as if you know, Hefeweizens, Munich Keller beers, lots of sour beers were hazy as well. You know, like because they had lots of wheat in wit beers from Belgium, and lots of Belgian styles outside of that were often hazy. You know, it just sort of denied the existence of continental European brewing just to fit their argument that an IPA shouldn't be hazy. I mean, that whole debate, that side of the debate, I think is absolute nonsense. I don't know whether hazy IPA is good for you, Bradley. I wouldn't try and convince anybody of that. But I don't think it's bad for the industry, and I think that it's up to the industry, those brewers that were bitching about it in the article, the writers that are writing these articles, to rather than gatekeep, don't try and close the gates, don't try and go, you're drinking the wrong beer, you're out. Try and go, hey, I love that you love beer now. But all of those flavours that you can get in hazy IPA, you know, you could also get delicious peachy, apricotty esters in a British bitter. You could also get, you know, that gorgeous, rich, thick feel with a fruited sour. You could, you know, are you loving that IPL? Then have you considered just drinking one of the lager styles, like a Helles or a Pilsner, because it will have that same body and that crispness. You know, it's like they're calling the drinkers lazy. I think actually the truth is that the marketers and the writers and the bar staff are more likely to be lazy than the drinkers themselves. Drinkers want, you know, most of the people coming into craft now are, and the market research that I've seen sort of implies this, is that they're experience seekers. They want to find something new and exciting. They don't necessarily care whether it's beer or gin or hard seltzer or whatever it is. They just want to try something new and be able to tell their friends about it on Bebo or whatever it is they're using. So we should be giving them reasons to try new things, not judging them for trying everything and getting excited about it.
It's basically like when slapping the word IPA on the end of every beer used to be like, I'm gonna sell that. I'm gonna be able to sell that now. Now it's just putting the word hazy on anything. We'll sell it, right? And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's just psychology and human nature, right? So, you know, your casual drinker who might be like, ooh, I now like craft beer. I like these things called hazy IPAs or just hazy beers or whatever it might be. They can feel like they know a little bit. They get involved, and you know that starts them on a path to drinking whatever they're going to end up drinking eventually. On the cornucopia, the beer wheel of life, Johnny. It starts them off, and you got to jump on the beer wheel at some point. So why not hazy? You know, I don't think
these people aren't necessarily, even if they get stuck on hazies, great, they're supporting small breweries.
Yeah.
Even if they fuck off again, great, they helped while they were here. And the best case scenario is they go deeper and deeper rather than going into gin or wine or whiskey or whatever it is that's trying to get their attention. I think, you know, this is being seen as a curse, and really it's an opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when, there's the issue of them taking over the whole bar. So, like 10 out of 20 taps might be a hazy. I guess that is annoying, but also that place is still open and probably still busy because
100%.
People are coming in and going, I'll try that hazy now.
Yep.
Ooh, that one was delicious. Now I'll try that other hazy.
Yep.
So they wouldn't put 10 taps on if they weren't selling.
You're singing from a hymn sheet, yeah.
And
that's why it's complete nonsense, the whole idea that they're being marketed to and that's why they're buying it. It's just absolutely fundamentally snobbish. And so, like, really angers me that somebody could say that with zero evidence of that being the case. It's so patronizing to new people coming into the segment. But yeah, I mean, it is frustrating when, it's mostly hazy IPA, but I also think that trend is starting to fade a little bit. I do think that tap list will be mostly hazy IPA even in a decade, but it won't be as much as 10 or 15 of a 20 tap list. It's going to be more like 7 or 8 max, and everything else is going to get more diverse. And some of those will be offshoots of the hazy IPA train, some of it will be West Coast Pilsners and stuff. But diversity will come back because it always does. West Coast IPA took over everything, and there was this wonderful period from like 2012 to like 2016 when hazy IPA took over in the UK, where there was all kinds of amazing stuff going on. And that will come again, and people just need to be patient and remember that beer is trend driven, and we take what we want from that trend and then we move on. Just before we dig into the comments, because there's so many great comments on this that I want to dig into. The other thing that I'm annoyed I didn't talk about in the video was the notion that it's stopping innovation. So the first thing, if we mean innovation of style, I think that most beer geeks would be like, the last thing we need is another fucking hype style that nobody wants to drink. We don't need another brute IPA. So actually, if innovation is slowing, that's probably for the best, because we're getting fewer half-baked ideas. I think the West Coast Pilsner is a brilliant innovation, and I really hope it really takes off. But everything that's come before that during the hazy IPA reign has been nonsense. Brute IPA, cold IPA, all this stuff I don't think will exist in a couple of years, really, outside of the niches that started it. But I hope West Coast Pilsner does survive. So I think slowing down innovation of style is fine. The opposite is true of actual technological innovation. Like, it has soared as a result of the boom in hazy IPA. So new hop varieties are coming out endlessly in the UK, the US, New Zealand, South Africa, Germany. There's so many new hop varieties coming out to fulfill that demand. That's great. It's more tools for brewers to work with. So much yeast innovation is happening, GM and non-GM. We've had like the yeast that I'm playing with, the WHC at the moment, which can make you a West Coast Pilsner or an IPL in like 10, 14 days. Yeast that can ferment really warm, kick out incredible juicy flavors that allow you to use fewer hops, allow you to really saturate the beer in those flavors. That wouldn't have happened without hazy IPA being a thing. These GM yeasts that can get rid of precursors to things like diacetyl, acetaldehyde, DMS, all these kind of things. It can break down. The boom in this particular style is creating all kinds of incredible new products that will make brewing both easier and cheaper for brewers, and more delicious and hopefully cheaper for drinkers at home. And to say that hazy IPA is damaging innovation is just bonkers. It's the reason that so much R&D is going on in the yeast and hop worlds. And I really wish that was also money was being ploughed into malt, but actually probably things like whiskey are funding the innovations in malt at the moment to some extent. And malt is kind of looking at heritage a little bit more, like with the crisp series of floor malted heritage malts and stuff. And I think that's brilliant, because that's going back to when malt was grown for flavour, not for sort of agronomical reasons. And long may that continue. But yeah, I wish it had the finances that hops and yeast have managed to throw in because of hazy IPA. So just all round, just stop it, people. Just embrace the juicy, pillowy goodness and all that it's given the breweries that you love. What comments did you find, Brad?
I don't know. I just zoned out for a second there, Johnny, because I was thinking, do Maltesers have malt in them, Johnny? And I'd like to see... They do, don't they? I'd like to see heritage Maltesers with, like, heritage grains.
Yes. Let's contact Nestle?
I don't know who owns it. Probably
I don't think Nestle's
like
a company we can work with, Bradders.
No. But I'd love to see heritage Maltesers. And maybe, like, heritage malt Ovaltine and things like that. I was thinking about other places that use malt that could really benefit from innovation. I mean, Maltesers are already elite level chocolate.
They are, aren't they? Underrated, I think.
Do they have them in America? I don't think they do, which is a travesty if they don't. They have
might just be under a
similar
different name.
Sort of balls. Yeah, they're incredible.
Multi-balls.
Multi-chocolate
balls.
Amazing. Yeah, so did you want some comments?
I was angling for some comments rather than going down the avenue of multi-balls, yeah.
All right, so I've got some evidence here from the comments, Johnny, about how you can kind of start on a haze train and then get off somewhere else. So, TM up north, my wife started with hazy IPAs and is now discovering she enjoys really bitter West Coast, barley wine, etc., and even an occasional lager. So there you go. She got on at a stop and got off at a different station entirely.
So many comments from people saying exactly that they took that journey that I said is definitely happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Another wife-based comment from Joshua Anderson. My wife used to have zero interest in any IPA until she tried a hazy and loved it. This past weekend, she, sound of mind, ordered something described as skunky and thought it was great. Honestly, hazy IPAs helped turn her into a beer geek, and I'm loving it. These are all great cases, Johnny, to turn people's wives into beer fans. God knows we need to convert some more wives into beer fans. I think we could probably up our numbers significantly if we got some of the guys that are watching and listening to this to watch it and listen to it with some more of their wives.
Just the way you said that made it sound like they're Mormons and have multiple wives.
Well, I mean, that would help. That would really up the numbers if some Mormons decided to join out. We're very Salt Lake friendly.
No, we're not. They don't drink.
No, we're not. They don't. Do they not drink, Mormons?
I don't think so.
They don't do anything. They just polygamists.
Yeah.
They're like
do.
Beer's not fun. Just having loads of wives is fun. And I don't know. I'm not going to get into religion anyway. But I like those two comments because they're very wife specific, and I thought that was interesting as a little sort of demographic of how people might be experiencing the hazy boys. What about you, Johnny? What sort of comments you got going?
Oh, I got lots. There's one from David Hall 158 that I really wanted to pick up on because it was something that I sort of wrestled with and didn't quite get across in the video, I think. So David Hall 158 says, I'm struggling to follow the logic where hazy IPA is dominating the industry, crowding out other styles, propping up the industry to the point that it's all that's keeping breweries afloat, while simultaneously constituting only 7% of craft beer sales. Sorry, one second. So, yeah, this is something that I sort of wrestled with. You know, I was surprised that hazy IPA was only 7% of craft beer sales, and looking back on it, I should have dug a bit further in to see if there are any other categories that would have included hazy beer. So there might have been hazy pale, or there might have been hazy double IPA or something that would bump that figure. It wouldn't bump it by a huge amount, but it might be at like 10 or 12%. So to your point, David, how is hazy IPA dominating the industry? The answer is it's not, and that was my point. But what it is dominating is small tap rooms that get a lot of attention, media-wise or untapped-wise or whatever it is. So it's the thing that's talked about most. So while in volume, you know, obviously things like Boston Beer, Lagunitas, Sierra Nevada Pale, you know, these things that are very much not hazy that sell incredible amounts. What's the Pennsylvania brewery? Yingling. These guys, represent a huge amount of the volume that's going to make it feel smaller. So it's the smaller breweries, most of whom focus very, very much on Hazy IPA. That's how it's sort of dominating. So it's 7% of the overall pie, but in this little pie that probably watch the craft beer channel and write about things, it's a much bigger pie of that. So within that, because they're all the small breweries, they're the ones that are most likely to struggle with cash flow issues, with ingredient supplies knocking them out of business. Hazy IPA is very, very important to them, so it's propping up that element of the industry. Hazy IPA actually probably is propping up Sierra Nevada now because it outsells the Pale Ale, but it's not propping up, say, Boston Beer Co. What's propping up Boston Beer Co. is Hard Tea and Seltzer and Angry Orchard. Definitely not Boston Lager. So it's propping up that element of the industry, which is also, the entry point for a lot of people, and also I would say that those probably like 8,000 breweries that make up a small amount of the volume, but a lot of the culture, they're the important ones to save to some extent because they may be small, but they account for so much of the culture and so much of the people that love craft. You can see, I'm struggling to explain it still, but essentially it may only be about 7 to 10% of craft beer sales, but it is about 80%, 90% of the actual craft beer culture that we talk about, and it is 80 to 90% of the breweries that are producing that 10%, if that makes sense. So thousands of them making a small amount of beer rather than a couple of them making a large amount. So even though it's only 7%, in the US we're talking, it can be incredibly influential, and if that disappears, so do a lot of the businesses that were making it. Agreed,
100%.
Another one I want to point up on is Kiss 1815. Who said, I think what's really killing beer are those hazy breweries releasing 120 or so new hazy beers a year. Not sure anybody's doing that. Well, actually, one or two might be. But all taste the same. It doesn't take long for people to know a hazy IPA brewed with Citra and Mosaic tastes no different to one brewed with Mosaic and Citra. First thing I'd say is no, people don't realise that. Secondly, I don't really think that's fair. I think there's a lot of diverse, exciting New England brewing going on, and one of the things that annoys me most when people talk about this is saying they all taste the same. No beer geeks level that at, say, Pilsner or pastry stout. But the reason we have style boundaries is because those things taste vaguely similar. So as soon as we're in any category of beer, it doesn't matter whether it's hazy IPA or not, we're looking for small differences, and those small differences will come from probably the hop varieties used and potentially the yeast variety used. That's all you've really got to play with, and then obviously IBUs and FGs and stuff to make tiny nuances that most people wouldn't recognise. But what I'm trying to say is hazy IPA is no more samey than any other style. You go to Germany, there's 800 breweries all making Pilsner, and they all taste broadly the same, just some are a little bit better than others. And that isn't affecting the beer industry either, because this notion that these beers all taste different, and they do to some extent, is keeping people interested and keeping them coming back. So if anything, again, that's helping the craft beer industry. And there's an element of deceit there, that I'm a bit uncomfortable with. And, I really admire breweries like Baron, we talked about it in the video, that put all of their recipe, as much of their recipe as they can, on that can so you can see what the differences are. So you're not trying to fool people with, just putting Mosaic in the whirlpool instead of the dry hop. And we need to be honest with consumers, but I do think it's positive still.
I've just had an idea. I think we should challenge ourselves or a brewery to brew different beer styles with exactly the same beer ingredients, like the same hop, same yeast, same malt, but use them at different times throughout the process.
Well, Cloudwater have done that a couple of times. A couple of breweries have. So they'll make a tweak to the dry hop or to the hop variety or to the yeast that's used. Malt Miller just did one where they used the 2 new WHC yeasts. So I'm playing around with high voltage, and they also brewed one with their other sort of juicy IPA yeast, and they used the same recipe but different yeasts, and ended up with a West Coast IPA pretty much and a New England IPA. So there's lots of experiments happening out there. If people have an idea of how Craft Beer Channel could do that, what would be really interesting, then 100% that'd be a really fun homebrew video to do, and a joy because we have 2 fermenters that we could fill with 2 almost identical beers.
Great.
So
Can't wait.
let's add that to the list. Any other comments, or have you filled your boots?
I guess. I mean, I've got one. It's a little bit long. Daiki di Belicia. I can never say your name.
We do get comments a lot from you that are interesting.
Yeah, here in Georgia, the craft beer revolution sparked despite hazies not being made until 3 or 4 years ago. Since hazies have made, it's only accelerated the interest and growth. Hazy pales have taken over from wheat beers and unfiltered lagers as craft beer drinkers' session beers. It's just part of the machine. Now we have a load of great hazy beer. It hasn't stopped brewers making a huge variety of excellent beers, and loads of people enjoy, including locally inspired new flavours, clay quivera, fermented wine ales, fruited sours with indigenous fruit, and even spiced soup beers. I think I'll leave the spiced soup beers to you.
Yeah, leave that to you,
Daiki di Bellisi. Bad quality and uninspiring macro craft beers, air quotes, is more of an issue as it puts off newbies who use it as an entry point due to its availability in the supermarket. So that's an interesting point. Sort of craft beers that are not actually craft beers, that are sort of jumping on the hazy train and giving a bad representation of hazy is more of a problem than good hazy beers.
And we had a lot of people saying that in the comments as well. And also blaming small brewers for not being high quality enough, which I think is definitely an issue. Lots of people saying that's what's going to kill craft. Like there was one from somebody saying, in fact, I think I screenshotted it, Micogram, unqualified home brewers entering the industry, flooding the market with bad beer is the problem. Which, I mean, I do definitely agree that's an issue. They're not flooding the industry, and also that is how the craft beer scene started. Sierra Nevada, Ken, Steve, forget which one, was a home brewer to start with. Most of the breweries that are big and successful and amazing now were home brewers, so we shouldn't try to stymie that either. But it is important to point out to people when their beer isn't up to scratch. Right, that's all we've got time for, because basically my mash finished about 10 minutes ago and it's just sat there still converting, so I might be accidentally making a double IPL at this point. So I'm going to attend to that. Bradley, I don't know what you're going to do, but everyone at home is going to go buy tickets to Love and Beer, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go and buy some tickets to Love and Beer too.
Oh, is that what you're going to do as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you in for free.
They're gonna sell out pretty quick.
Are.
So I want to make sure that I get the good seats, Johnny.
Yeah, can you grab me a ticket too, please, Bradley?
Yeah. I'll grab you a ticket, and I'll make sure we get there nice and early. Did you know, Johnny, that if you're a Patreon, you can get in early and you can come and talk to us before non-Patreons. So that's a really good reason.
First beer.
You won't have to queue for your beer, and also it's a good reason to join Patreon too, right? So
yeah,
if you're not already a Patreon,
£2 a month,
just join. Yeah, and then you can come say hey. I'd love to have a ping pong table there or something, but I don't think we've got room now. We've got a giant, amazing homebrew tent in the.
Well, you don't want to play ping pong outside either. If it's windy,
that's true.
That's a tricky game.
That is a tricky game.
Tricky game indeed. But there will be entertainment, believe you me. Just
time.
Maybe not a ping pong table.
No.
Right, that is indeed all we've got time for. The links to buy tickets to Love and Beer 2 are down below. Otherwise, we're back with some advertising analysis next week, episode 2 of that, which we filmed on the same day as the other one. So we haven't taken all of your very helpful feedback on board for that one, but in the next episode we will. So yeah, we'll see you on Wednesday for that, and obviously for Friday 5 p.m. next week. And until then, we'll be working hard on Keep Cask alive, and I'll be watching our incredible WHC yeast trying to climb out of the fermenter. Love and Beer.
Nice.
The Bubble and Friday 5 p.m. podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food, and homebrewing. Love and Beer.